Welcome to another captivating episode of Raw Momversations,
where fearless moms and experts unite to explore alternative practices. Hey there, I'm Allie.
And I'm Lianne. Our mission is to empower your one-of-a-kind parenting journey. Join us as we explore unconventional birthing and parenting methods.
Get ready for inspiration, authentic stories, and unwavering family love.
Together, we're rewriting our rules of parenting one bold step at a time.
So without further ado, let's kick off this empowering momversation.
Raw Momversations, where fearless motherhood leads the way. Today, we have an incredibly inspiring mom, Lianne, who has shown remarkable courage by wanting to share her deeply personal journey through pregnancy while also dealing with obesity. We understand that the topic of weight can be a subject surrounded by judgments and misconceptions, and it's important to emphasize that our discussion comes from a place of understanding and empathy, and we're here to share Lianne's personal journey and to provide a platform where her story can be told without judgment or stigma. Lianne, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you feel ready and confident to come and share your story with us today.
So my name is Lianne. I'm a mom of a 7-year-old daughter named Olivia, and I have a stepdaughter named Roxanne, who's 8 years old. Today I felt very confident in speaking my journey. I've been very open on social media about my journey, my weight loss journey, my struggle with anxiety, depression. And I just felt like I could explain my story and really, let people know, that, there's another side to things, there's a way to, it's always a dark side. There's a bright side to things as well. So I really feel that my story can inspire others.
I love it.
Beautiful. And before we get into your whole experience of pregnancy and dealing with your weight, let's talk about just some of the struggles and your hardships prior to even getting pregnant. What were you dealing with?
So I've struggled with my weight for basically my whole life. I was very active as a young, up until about 14. But I suffered from anxiety, depression, suicidal at some point, due to, I was very teased at school, and, I liked school in elementary school, but then high school came around, and because I was so obese, people would make fun of me continuously. So I had a lot of, dark moments, I could say. And, I ended up even being hospitalized when I was 14 years old because I was so tormented, as a child. And, but I think that was the best thing because it actually, probably saved my life, with the help of doctors and, medication to help me get through those dark moments. So I really suffered for many years, anxiety, depression, suicide. And I think it all stemmed from being so tormented because of my weight.
Yeah. The bullying is just so heartbreaking these days. And I mean, I can't even imagine today with all the social media on top of everything you went through. We're sorry to hear that. I mean, no one really deserves that at all.
Yeah, it was when MSN ICQ came out.
So
it's the beginning of social media. So people would, make fake accounts about me and then torment me through it and stuff. So I had some really rough teenagehood, and that definitely contributed to my increase in my being overweight. I was always overweight, but then my obesity, I really became severely overweight. I was 376 pounds just before my pregnancy. So that definitely was a rough time for sure.
And your doctor actually told you that you're probably not going to get pregnant, correct?
Yeah, my gynecologist told me that the chances I will get pregnant is very slim to none. She was always a tough gynecologist on me anyways, because she was always no, you're I basically would walk out of every appointment crying because she would always have comments about my weight. And I understand weight can be an issue during pregnancy, and it ended up being that. But I just feel sometimes doctors the way they speak to people, it's just like there's no bedside manners, you know. And yeah, she told me like there's no way you're gonna get pregnant,
Wow.
which I ended up well.
Yeah, so tell us about your pregnancy journey and how that all came about.
So because of my anxiety and depression, I was on medications, obviously. And for 1 year prior to trying to get pregnant, I worked very hard on my mental state with psychologists, psychiatrists, and we worked out a plan to try and get me off the medication so that I can get pregnant. Well, it wasn't that the fact that it would block me from getting pregnant, but it's just the risks of those type of medications like club feet, cleft lip.
The side effects.
Exactly, this long-term side effects and how it affects the baby. So we worked for a year to get off of them. And then I was on like one last pill, the lowest dosage. And I ended up getting pregnant in July of 2015. So, wow. Yeah, it was quite the journey.
And what were some of the hardships that you experienced while pregnant?
Right from the get-go, I was actually put off work as of, I think it was like 9 or 10 weeks, because my blood pressure was immediately high.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I had a lot of problems with work because they're like, what do you mean you're off at 9-10 weeks? Like people go to like 36 weeks, you know? So that was a big challenge, is like the work aspect. So like financially, but also like physically, like I was 376 pounds. Like the just day-to-day movement was tough, you know? And then now I'm carrying a child, and it was very, very hard. I not only the blood pressure, but it was the continuous every day I had to take my blood pressure like 5 to 6 times, had to record it. If it was low, if it was high, then I would have to go into the case room, like at a, you know, after like your 18 weeks or whatever, I had to go into the case room and be checked. I was on 3 different medications for my blood pressure because my blood pressure was out of control. And they couldn't control it much with the medication. Like it would be good, and then all of a sudden they would have to readjust my medication because it was up and down. So that like lots of problems within my pregnancy for sure.
So constant surveillance.
Yeah, and
extra appointments and
yeah, lots. Like I had to go for I think it's called an NST, which is like they put the monitor on your stomach, and every time the baby moves, you're supposed to press a button. But because I was so big, the baby and Olivia was like so tiny. Because a lot of times with high blood pressure, you end up with a smaller child. And because I was so big, I wasn't feeling Olivia move. So I had to go in like 3 times a week to go like early on, like at like 20 weeks, I had to go in every single week, 3 times a week, just so that I could be monitored to make sure she's actually moving, because I couldn't feel her move at all.
And how did they monitor? Did they do like ultrasounds or like what was the monitoring process?
It's called an NST, and it's like a thing that they put on your stomach.
Okay.
And it calculates the movement. So every time I would feel her move, which was even with that machine on, it was very difficult. I would have to press a button, and then they would see if the heart rate would go up. So I had to do that, and ultrasounds, like vaginal ultrasounds, because I was too big. I couldn't even do a regular ultrasound. All my ultrasounds were done vaginally because of how big I was. It was very tough.
Looking back, was there ever even like a moment that you were at peace or calm or even enjoying your pregnancy, or was it just worrisome the whole time?
To be honest, it was worrisome the whole time. Like it didn't matter. Like I had to bring my blood pressure machine even when I'd go for dinner with friends at a restaurant or something, you know, because I'd have to take my blood pressure because I would all of a sudden feel like dizzy and headaches and stuff. So it really affected. It was not a fun pregnancy. Like I never, like even now I'm like, oh, I wish I would have another child just so I could have a normal pregnancy. Obviously you can never guarantee that, but I didn't have that fairy tale, so to speak, pregnancy at all.
Right. Do you want to talk to us about the big day, the delivery? Did they prepare you? Did you already know anything going in advance, or did the day of labor just come by surprise?
So the morning, I was 35 weeks, and I I wasn't feeling Olivia move. So I had an appointment around 11 o'clock, but I called the case room about 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, listen, like, I haven't felt her move. My blood pressure is sky high, like 180 over like 100, like very excessive. It should be like 120 over 80. And I was like in the 180s. And they said to me, like, forget your appointment, come in now. So I got ready, and I didn't even bring my bags thinking that anything was going to happen that day. I just think it was a regular appointment. They were just going to check up on me. So I went in and they to the case room, and they immediately started monitoring me. And my doctor came and saw me, and he was like, Lianne, he's like, we're inducing you today. Like, your blood pressure, you have preeclampsia. There's no way of controlling this at this point. We need to get her out. But it's going to be a long process because she is not ready to come. So then we ended up, that was at 9 o'clock in the morning. He told me that. And we ended up starting the induction at 4 p.m. And at 4 p.m., like, they put you in the room and everything, the baby monitor, like the monitor on the belly. But again, even that monitor, because it was so, I was so big, they had trouble even finding her heartbeat. Like, it was so scary of an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I never knew if she was alive, you know? It was really, really hard. And finally at 4 o'clock, they ended up putting the balloon in. And normally you're supposed to keep it for 12 hours. I kept it for 24 hours. Yeah.
Because wait, tell everybody how long you were in labor for.
So I was in labor for, total 57 hours. 56 of it, I was laboring, and I only pushed for 45 minutes. Wow. So yeah, it was a long 57 hours. At first, I did not take the epidural because I was like, nah, I could do this. I'm superwoman, you know? And then at 8 hours in, my doctor's like, oh no, Lianne, like, you need to take the epidural. Like, because I was like, I could do this. And then he's like, no, it's going to be really long. So I ended up induced on Monday at 4, and I ended up giving birth at 1:58 a.m. on Thursday morning.
Oh my gosh. That's long. And they didn't even want to risk doing a C-section with you.
Exactly. So because I was so obese, the risk for me was too high to do a C-section. One, for me, because they would have to, like, first of all, the manpower at the timing that I was giving birth, it was too late at night, like in the morning. Right. They didn't have the staff on hand to be able to manipulate my stomach to be able to open me up. And then also because because of that, but also because the recovery would have been insane. Like, I've heard people like having C-sections at a normal weight or whatever. I couldn't imagine like having to go through it. So my doctor's like, there's no way we're doing a C-section. It's 100% you are giving birth vaginally.
It's a major surgery. So
yeah,
at least you didn't have to go through that.
Oh my God. But yeah, they ended up, so at 56 hours, I was like, Mom, like, you need to press that button because like, I'm going to put, like, I'm ready. And then the nurse came in and she's like, well, we have no doctor ready. And I'm like, oh, I don't care. I'm like,
there's never a doctor available when you have to go, right?
Exactly. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. You need to go. So she like just pushed my bed like up, and I was like, no, like, please help me. So finally, like a resident ended up coming in and prepared the room. They did prepare me that Olivia would end up in the NICU. So they actually had, because I was giving birth at the new super hospital, the children's hospital is actually connected to it. So the NICU team was outside the room waiting. And so I ended up pushing for 45 minutes, and then Olivia's heart rate started dropping, and I started getting a fever. So they ended up using the suction where they put it on her head and like pull her out, basically. Sorry. So they ended up doing that. Her APGAR ended up being 3, which is very low. She didn't cry for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm there, like, you know, in the stirrups, trying to like deal with what's happening in front of me, but like wondering what's happening with Olivia.
Were they telling you anything at this point, or
No,
nothing? It was
there
just
was
like
no
chaos.
communication. Yeah, it was pure chaos. There was about, I'd say 12 people in the room.
Wow.
There was no like intimate moment or anything. I didn't even get to, finally after the 10 minutes, they ended up, like she had to have oxygen and stuff, and they took her right away. Like I had no skin to skin. I literally, like, they went like this and she was
Wow.
gone. Like,
my God.
yeah. So that was traumatic. Like the fact that I didn't even have one moment with her, like to this day, it still bothers me because it's like, I feel like I missed those first moments of her life, you know? And then I had no communication with the NICU because like my daughter's dad went to the NICU, but like the internet is terrible there. So there was no real communication of what was going on. So it was very, very traumatic to say the least.
How many hours later did you get to be reunited with Olivia?
So it took, because my blood pressure was not coming down, like I was on magnesium to not have seizures during my whole labor. And then I ended up still being on that for 4 days after because they couldn't regulate my blood pressure. So it was almost 24 hours before I was allowed to go see her. The doctors from the NICU came and saw me in my room, but they were like, basically like, you can't come to the NICU because like if you pass out because your blood pressure is too high, there's nobody to help you. So you can't come.
Yeah,
So
because
like
you're
I
still
got
checked in as a patient, technically.
exactly. And like that's what I wish, like, you know, one thing I wish I did different is at least had a, like, you know, you can, the father is always there, they go and see them, but like having that, but he was like stressed too, right? You know, he's trying to be there for me, he's trying to be there for Olivia. I wish I had a doula because, or somebody, some other support, because there was no, you weren't allowed anybody else in the NICU. So like my mom couldn't even go see her and then report back to me and let me know what was going on, you know? So it was extremely stressful for sure. Like finally at 24 hours, I was able to go see her. They wheeled me down in a wheelchair. And that was like after fighting the doctors, because even then my blood pressure still wasn't down. So they were like, we don't want you to go. And I'm like, I need to see my child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was tough. And then when I saw her for the first time, she had like a CPAP on. She had wires all over her. I couldn't, like, I would try and pump to breastfeed, like try and pump like my colostrum to give to her, but like I would pump for like an hour and like I'd get like 30 mLs. Like it was, I think that whole moment that I missed
the
in those
disconnect.
first 24 hours, it really affected me. And I think it affected me postpartum as well, in the sense of for postpartum depression. Like I think it really, despite me having like anxiety, depression before, like I was in a good state, you know, in the sense of like, wow, I'm going to become a mom. But then, you know, the rough pregnancy, the rough delivery, and then the after, I think that really had an effect on me postpartum, like big time.
While you were there in the hospital, someone came in and said something to you.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about that.
So, yeah, that was a very rough moment. So after I had given birth to Olivia and they brought Olivia down to the NICU, a resident came in, one of the residents that initially came in before the doctor was ready. And she was like, yeah, Lianne, I just wanted to let you know, or Miss Watt, you know, I just want to let you know that like, if you don't change your ways, you're not going to see your daughter's second birthday. Whew, few tears. I mean, in the moment, it was the worst thing somebody could have told me. I was a basket case to begin with. My child just got taken to the NICU, and now you're telling me this.
Yeah.
It was a hard reality check. Sorry.
It's okay.
It was a wake-up call that I needed, but probably not the best moment, to say the least. It was tough. It was not an easy, I still remember, it obviously affected me because to this day, it's hard to talk about because she was right if I didn't change, but it was really not the time to tell me that. It was a tough moment for me, for sure. I probably wanted to punch her in the face ultimately.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
but
you're
I
such
remained
a
calm.
warrior. You're such a warrior
Thank
for
you.
everything that you experienced and that you went through, and then to still be beaten down like that. But so you take this phrase with you in your head into your postpartum. And so what is your postpartum journey like that?
So postpartum, Olivia was only 4 pounds at birth. So she was very tiny. I ended up, she was at the Montreal Children's for a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And then she ended up being transferred to LaSalle Hospital because she didn't need the level of care of what the Children's give. It's like another type of NICU. And when I went to that hospital, they really weren't accommodating. One, because I didn't give birth there. So I didn't have I just had a plastic or a metal chair to try and breastfeed on. So they didn't care because I wasn't actually there giving birth. They refused to speak to me in English, which I'm no problem speaking French. But when it's your medical, your child, I need to know what's happened, and she had jaundice. So again, I couldn't hold her because she had jaundice. So there was another disconnect. And then I ended up, so the car seats are 5 pounds. I ended up removing Olivia, checking Olivia out at 4 pounds, 12 ounces. Because I just, the whole environment, the stress, I just couldn't take it. I was she's going to be better off at home. Her jaundice has finally cleared up, she was still a bit yellow, but to a certain point, she was pretty, she was not sick enough, in my opinion, to be there. I know I'm not a doctor, but just mentally, I couldn't do it anymore. So I took Olivia home, and she ended up within a week, 2 weeks, maybe, she started with colic, and we had colic for 3 months. And that's another contribution to my postpartum depression, 100%. The lack of sleep. I was very defeated that I couldn't breastfeed. Not that I have, there's no, to me, just fed is best, in my opinion. But I feel that bonding moment was never there with Olivia. And it really affected me. Because I didn't have those moments. Those moments you see in the movies or you see your friends go through. I didn't have those moments with Olivia, and it really affected me. My mental health took a real toll on it. I think the whole combination, I wasn't eating good, the lack of sleep, the labor, everything in just had a bad contribution to my postpartum depression. It was really rough. The whole journey was rough.
Yeah. Did you have any support during your postpartum journey?
My mother was my greatest support. Sorry. My mom's no longer here with us, so sorry. She would come down weekly because she lived in Ontario, but she would come down weekly to come and take care, give me a break. Her dad, I mean, he tried his best. He could of what he knew what to do, but I feel like everything fell on me, the rough pregnancy, the rough labor, the time in the NICU, then the colic. He didn't know what to do. So I found a lot of things fell on me. Thank God my mom would give me a break once or twice a week just to step outside and, but I wish, again, I wish I had that support of an outsider, somebody who's just here, let me take your child and go do what you have to do. Go take a shower,
Yeah.
I found that was really, really tough. Yes, my mom was there. Yes, she was the best support ever, but it still was, I needed more help. to say the least.
And there's no resources that can help.
No.
Like that are given to you from a hospital or anything.
No,
you have
even
me,
when
like,
I went
crying.
to my doctor.
I know.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Your story has us like emotional.
Yeah, like even when I reached out to my doctor about my postpartum, I don't feel like they were even there supporting, like honestly, I can thank my psychiatrist that got me through this, because most psychiatrists is just like, take medication, go away, and you'll be fine.
Right.
He really took me under his wing. I guess maybe because we had a history for so long together.
Right.
He really took me under his wing, and like he would sometimes spend 2 hours just talking to me, and like he'd have a waiting room full, and he was thankful. I'm so thankful for him. Like he's retiring, and I'm like so sad that he's retiring.
You can say his name. We love to give credit to good people.
His name is Andres Korpaski. He works at the Brunswick Medical, and I believe he saved my life before my pregnancy, and he saved my life postpartum. Sorry.
It's okay. You don't have to apologize.
Oof.
You're so strong for sharing this with us.
Thank you. There's many days that even after Olivia, despite her being my biggest motivation, I didn't want to live. And you can ask anybody around me, they had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only person that knew really what I was going through was my mother. And honestly, that doctor saved my life. Because many times I didn't want to wake up. And Olivia saved my life too. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm with you here too. Like there are like angels on earth, and this doctor is one of them. Your mom is one of them, and thank God for them, and God bless them.
100%. They really helped me get through many tough moments. Thank God for them.
So, Lianne, at what point does this happen during postpartum that you make the decision to make a change?
Yeah. So at my 6-week follow-up appointment, my doctor asked me like, oh, do you plan on having other kids in the next like year or two? And I was like, oh, I can't answer that question right now. Like, it's like, I can't. There was just too much going on. And he's like, okay. I'm like, and then I brought up the comment that the resident had said to me that like, if you don't change your ways, you're not going to see your daughter's second birthday. And he was very stunned that she would say something like that. Like my doctor, Dr. Panette, is a godsend. Like he was amazing throughout my whole pregnancy. Like he helped me achieve to get to 35 weeks. And that was a blessing,
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, I can refer you to the Montreal General. They have a bariatric clinic. Why don't you consider maybe doing a bariatric surgery? And I was like, yes, I need to do that. Like, I had no idea what really was, but I was like, yes, please. So he ended up sending my referral to the Montreal General. Actually to a women's clinic, and then the women's clinic filled out the forms and sent to the Montreal General. And from there, it was about a 16-month wait till I got my call, and I literally the secretary by the end knew my voice, because I literally called them every 2-3 weeks, like, am I next? Because I knew I was on 15 medications, like
that's
3
crazy.
for my blood pressure, diabetes, I had sleep apnea, I had high cholesterol, all my anxiety and depression medications, like 15 medications. I was on a CPAP to sleep at night because I couldn't breathe. Like I had sleep apnea. I knew there was no way I would live. Like in my family, my brother had a heart attack at 30 and 37. My dad had one at 42 and my mom had one at 58. I was a walking time bomb. Like there's no way that I would not get away with it, but if I didn't change, that doctor's comment would have become true. I truly believe that would, like, I would have died. Like I was severe. I was extremely sick. Like, yeah, I was sick. I mean, nobody really knew. Like I shared I always shared on social media, but I don't think people understand to the degree of how sick I really was, you know? You only show a certain amount on social media. People don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, you know? I had an internist because my actual family doctor's like, Lianne, your case is so severe. I can't keep up. Like the amount of tests you have to keep going for. This is after my pregnancy. This is postpartum. I only gained 10 pounds on my pregnancy. So it wasn't my pregnancy that the problem was. I think it all stems from my childhood, my anxiety, my depression. And so, yeah, so like I was extremely sick. So when they finally called me after, I think they called me at like 14 months and then, you know, you have tests to do and stuff like that. So they called me and I went and did an interview. I had to speak with a psychologist one time, which I think is absurd because I don't understand how so basically the reason why you need to see a psychologist is because I had anxiety and depression, and their thing is like, well, like this is just a tool, bariatric surgery. If you don't use your tool and you're still having anxiety or depression problems, how is this surgery gonna really help you? But you know, like speaking with a psychologist one time, you can tell them everything you want to hear just so you can get the surgery. You know what I mean? Like, so there wasn't very well pre-screening. I mean, ultimately it was to save my life. So I would have told them anything I could just to get the surgery.
But you were honest.
But I was honest. I told them, you know, and they knew from my medications that I had, you know, previous issues before. But she believed that it would change my life. So she gave the okay. And then there's three surgeries, but there's two surgeries you could do. You could do a gastric sleeve or you could do a gastric bypass. To be honest, when I went for my surgery after they called me 2 months later, so I signed the paper with the sleeve and signed a paper with a gastric bypass. And when I had to do 3 weeks of liquid diet. So basically 5 diabetic boosts a day and 5 cups of vegetables for 3 weeks.
Wow.
I lost 13 kilos. So that was the whole goal, is to shrink my liver so that I would be able to do this surgery. And because they do it laparoscopic. So obviously when your stomach is near your liver, and my liver was over my stomach because I was so obese. So they needed to shrink my liver. So by doing the liquid diet, I was able to do that. And when I went in for my surgery, which is another craziness, is that the fact is I signed for both surgeries. I went to sleep not knowing what surgery I was going to have.
What's the difference between the two?
So the sleeve is like they staple your stomach kind of like a banana. Like It's in the shape of banana. They do not manipulate your intestines, nothing. It's literally just the actual stomach. And then a gastric bypass is they close your stomach like about a fist, like not too big. And then they also remove some of your intestine. So I actually have malabsorption. So like I have to go for routine blood tests because where you actually absorb the nutrients is in your intestine. And because mine is not as long, it basically, the food flows through faster. So I'm not getting the nutrients from the food. So I do take like iron, I take vitamin D, I take multivitamin, I take calcium, because that's another effect of the bariatric surgery is a lot of people end up having bone issues because they're not absorbing. So I actually woke up and I had to ask what surgery I had.
Wow.
Because they didn't know.
They didn't know,
it's crazy.
Right? Yeah.
Well, because they didn't know that going in like when they would go in, if my liver had shrunk enough that he wouldn't perforate it. So it's only when he went in, he's like, yeah, we could do the bypass. Like I was asleep. I had no idea what surgery I was having. When I woke up, they were like bypass. I was like, thank God. Because for me, so the difference, I'm not a doctor, but a lot of people, the reason why I went for bypass is because I had severe acid reflux before, which was another pill I was on. And the acid reflux actually gets worse with the sleeve, or you could develop it. So that's why I was like, oh, I really hope I get gastric bypass. And you have a chance of losing more weight. I ended up getting the gastric bypass, thankfully. But that was another recovery too,
For sure.
I mean, how long was recovery for you?
I was on a liquid diet for another 2 weeks after my surgery. So I went like 5 weeks with really not eating much. And then I did 3 weeks of baby food. Like, those little mother hen things that we do. Those are disgusting.
Purees,
yeah. And then but to get your protein, because protein is so important, especially in our surgery, because protein keeps you fuller longer, right? So I actually had to add, that carnation milk?
No.
Like that people add to like their coffees? Like as a cream.
It's like a powder?
Well, there's a powder one, or there's
Okay.
I actually had to add that to every baby food I ate. So like, let's say I had a yogurt.
Yeah.
I had to add this carnation milk to give me more protein. It was absolutely horrid.
Yummy.
I mean, in the end, it was the best decision, but these steps to get through it all was insane. And then I also had Olivia at home, who was,
how old was she?
In 2000. She was just under 2 years old. I had it February 2018, and she would have been 2 in March. So yeah,
that's when they're like running around, super active.
Yeah. Again, thank God for my mother. She really helped me out a lot. But she helped me, but she was because in 2017 she ended up getting diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. So, and she was actually starting her treatments 2 days before I had my surgery. So I had told my mom, like, I am not doing this. Like, they had set my schedule for my surgery and everything. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not doing my surgery. And she's like, because I wanted to be there for my mom's chemo, And my mom's like, no, Lianne, like, you need to take care of you. You need to be there for Olivia. You need to do this surgery. This is going to save your life. And I remember that now, like, all the time, because it's like another way my mother really saved my life too, is if she didn't push me to do the surgery, I would have been like, nope, I need to be there for my mom. And I think that's always been my way, is I've always wanted to be there and help others before taking care of myself. And finally, by doing that surgery, I feel like I took care of me. I did what was best for me, That definitely,
You know, on an airplane, when they say, like, when the oxygen mask come down, put it on yourself first before putting it on someone else, in order for you to be able to take care of everyone around you the way you do, you have to take care of yourself too. So
100%.
But talk to us even so after the surgery, just like the strength that it required you to just like stay in a positive mindset. And I mean, it was obviously still continuous work for you.
So they always tell you this surgery is a tool, but it never changes your mind. It doesn't change your mind, right? It only changes your size of your stomach. That's all it's, it's doing. It's a tool that you need to use. And it was hard, like I remember after surgery, I ate 6 chocolate covered almonds. Like, this is when I was allowed to have food. I think I was like 3 months out or whatever. And I was so sick, like throwing up sick, because again, but why did I do that? Even to this day, I'm like, why did I do that? I knew that wasn't good, but it all comes down to that whole surgery is a tool. You need to fix your mind. It's so important. It's the biggest muscle in your body. It's like, it's so important to take care of it, because, that moment when I was sick as a dog because I ate 6 almonds, chocolate covered almonds though, like Lianne, like, come on, it all comes down to that surgery really doesn't help you mentally. It's an addiction. Food is my addiction. To this day, I know I'm still addicted to food. It's a daily battle. It's choices you need to make. There's events I just wouldn't go to because I was like, I can't control myself. Like you go somewhere, it's like,
temptation.
Oh, buffet style, all you can eat. And I'm like, no, like I can't go there because I know I can't control myself. Now I'm much better, obviously, like it's taken, I had it in 2018. It's like over 5 years. It's going to be 6 years ago, and right? 6 years ago. And it honestly, it's every day is a different day. Every day there's good days, there's bad days. When I lost my mom, I could say for a good 6 months, I really had trouble with my nutrition because, again, it's that mental, like, I always wanted to take care of other people, like I had to take care of my mom's funeral. I had, there was so much going on. Like, I feel like my life has always been like a roller coaster, and the tool that I've been given, I don't feel like I was ever given the tools through the surgery, like through people, like there's 1 year follow-up after your surgery. After, figure it out yourself.
So there's no guidance in terms of nutrition. Like, do they put you on a diet plan after? Do they do a reevaluation with a psychologist? Do like anything like that?
No. So the reason why they don't because their whole thing is diets, you've tried every diet before you've had surgery. So their thing is, we don't want to put you on a diet because it failed before. Like, that's the way they think, is like, you failed before on diets. Why are we going to put you on a diet again? But like, I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what to eat. I've never known what to eat.
You're never properly educated. Yeah.
Exactly. So I personally reached out to nutritionists. I personally reached out to, psychologists, because you don't get even the follow-up with a psychologist. They never check up on you again. You're just another file, you had surgery, tick you off, and that's about it, So there are support groups out there. Like, I'm part of a few Facebook groups and stuff. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, they used to have once a month, they had like a group session that people that wanted to would go to bariatric meetings, but it got closed because of the pandemic. So, and it never reopened again. But even to this day, I find there's still no support for bariatric patients. Like, I think in general in the medical world, there's a lack of help in, even during my pregnancy. There was no real help other than, like, at the end, with my postpartum, Dr. Korpasky, he's the one that saved me. But there's really the lack of support in so many aspects of my life. I feel like I've been failed. Yes, obviously, like I said, I've had people been there to support me, thank God. During my pregnancy, I feel like I should have had a doula. I feel like there should be a requirement to speak with a psychologist. Like, there's so many moms struggling, whether it's during their pregnancy, and like, again, social media is out there. So like, social media, nobody shows the ugly side of it. You know, it's all the prim and proper. And I feel like, I know personally there's a lot of moms struggling, you know, so
big time. And
I struggled. And so, like, you know, I try and support the friends, but like, I don't know, I find especially with social media now, it's tough. Like, because there's always, again, I compare myself to the pregnancies I see on social media or the pregnancies I saw on, and that was not even close to what my reality was, you know? So, yeah.
Well, your social media, which we'll link in our show notes for people who have questions or can relate to you or want advice, you're super open. You always have been from day one. You share a lot of before and after photos, which are like incredible to see. So you've lost how much weight since your surgery?
So I did my gastric bypass in February 2018 and I lost 153 pounds. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like when I say that number, I'm like, I lost a person, you know, like,
yeah,
I lost the person. I'm on no medication other than like for a bit of anxiety, but I'm on no medications.
Wow.
And then in April 2022, I did a skin removal surgery. So you can imagine I was 376 pounds. Then I had lost 153. The amount of skin that was left behind was, it ended up, the doctor, Dr. Godalovich, I went private because, again, the government only covers like, you know, like the little mom pouch. Well, I had like a big pouch, obviously, because I was severely obese. So they ended up removing, I think it was 20 pounds of skin and 6 liters of lipo. Wow. So about another 30 pounds. So in total, about 183 pounds I've lost. Yeah, really like a person.
Wow. I mean, you said you're off most of your medication. Just that on its own is such a huge accomplishment. So congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You must feel so much better.
Oh, it's like night and day. Like, well, like, you know, at 376 pounds, to put it in perspective, I could not give my child a bath. Like, I couldn't give Olivia a bath. As soon as she went like outside of the, you know, the little baby bath you could put on the counter, I couldn't give her a bath because yes, I could get down, but I couldn't get back up with her. So I couldn't give her a bath. Now, I mean, now she's 7, so like obviously I don't give her a bath, but I remember that day to T, like when the first day, and I remember posting on social media, I gave my child the bath in the regular bathtub. I bawled my eyes out because I was like, I can't believe I was able to do that. Like, I think that was after like losing about like 60 pounds or something. I was just like, and not only that, like there was a lot of stress on my daughter's father too, right? Because he had to give her a bath all the time. He had to carry her places because I couldn't do it. I had 376 pounds of, you know, weight on me to carry now another, you know, 20 pounds.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. So I remember that social media post that I posted that I was able to give my child a bath, and I was bawling my eyes out. It was, and now like, you know, I look at my pictures and I'm like, what a difference. But mentally also, incredible. You know?
Yeah.
Well, on that note, if you could go back and tell yourself before all of this, or for anybody who has the same struggles as you, if you've had any words of wisdom or guidance, or if you could tell yourself anything, what would it be?
I would definitely, one thing I would do different is probably have my surgery first before my pregnancy. However, I probably wouldn't have because I didn't get that wake up call from that doctor. So I think that helped. But if I could give some advice, just in general, is that 1, you're not alone. And 2, there is a life beyond anxiety and depression. I really, you know, I've come a long way, and I'm not perfect. I still work on myself every single day, but I really believe if there's anybody listening out there, if anybody could take one thing, is that you're not alone, and there is brightness after darkness. Sorry.
beautiful.
Yeah, and we're so appreciative of you like opening up like this and sharing your story.
Thank you
are
so
an
much for having me.
inspiration.
Thank you.
No,
I appreciate
honestly,
you guys. And
I think a lot
Ali,
of
you've been
people
my
can relate.
support, man.
Oh,
Ali's really been awesome, you know, like all her things at Tan Montreal. She's really been a blessing and always, you know,
aw.
took me under her wing, and I so appreciate it.
Of course. You're a beautiful soul, Lianne. And, you know, I remember, I did your makeup for your pregnancy shoot, or what was it? You were
Yeah, my
pregnant with
pregnancy
Olivia.
shoot. Yeah. That was the first time we really met. Like, I followed you on social media, but like that was the first time we met. And I remember like I felt like my most beautiful. Like I just I loved, you know, like and then from that day I feel like I always had a connection with you. And I feel like and I've said this before about your business, Tan Montreal. You've never judged me because of the way or my size or the way I look. All your promotional things and everything, you always reach out to me. And I so appreciate it. That you embrace it all. Thank you.
I would say something.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Like I said, you're just such an inspiration, and your story is so inspiring, and you're just like the strength that you have is so beautiful, Lianne. And you know, I have faith that your journey is not over, and you know, this is, you know, maybe something that is the beginning of your journey of helping others in a greater way than you have ever imagined. And we will be here to cheer you on forever.
This moment was meant to be. You were meant to be here at this exact moment sharing your story.
I truly believe that. And I'm so grateful for you guys allowing me to share my story, despite all the tears.
Oh my God. It's like through a whole Kleenex box.
Therapeutic tears. Therapeutic tears.
Tears.
So while we cry, Lianne, do you want to tell us what your favorite baby product was?
So my two favorite baby products was my body. My two favorite baby products for me was 100% my body pillow. Couldn't sleep without it. And then for Olivia, it was definitely my swing. The Mama-Roo swing. Because Olivia had reflux, and the nights we would stay awake, I would just like, here, go in your swing. So those two definitely were my top must-haves.
I love it.
Oh
my goodness. Well, Lianne, thank you so much. We keep saying it. You're such an inspiration, and I think you will forever be changing people's lives and inspiring other, you know, women out there who are struggling, who share the same, you know, journey that you have. And, you know, we're here for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on. I can't wait to see it out.
Big virtual
Thank you.
Big virtual hug.
Thank you.
I was already crying for when you were talking about the NICU, but I was like trying to hold back my tears. So I was like, oh, we're going to get through this one.
Yeah, but Ali has the excuse. She could just say, oh, it's hormonal. I don't have the excuse.
I don't think that's not hormones. That's the
like,
heart
that's coming
right
from
there.
The heart.
Thank you.
Well, that was another raw and real conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you, ladies.